Hi, this is Lauren from Daisy Cottage Designs, and today I'm here with a video tutorial for you on the blanket that you see in front of you. This blanket was really fun for me to make, and I loved how soft the chenille yarn worked up. I used 4 shades of Loops and Threads Skinny Chenille. I bought it at Michael's, but it's also available on Walmart.com and Amazon.com, and all of that is linked below. I used Starfish, which is this coral shade, Swan, Bluebird, and Hummingbird. And today I just wanted to walk you through the steps so that you can make this blanket too. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your worsted weight yarn and a J crochet hook, and you're going to want to chain an even number. Any even starting chain will work. For the blanket that I showed you, I started with a chain of 76, and for this swatch today, I started with a chain of 16. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is single crochet in the second chain and in each chain across. So since I started with a chain of 16 for the swatch, I'm going to have 15 single crochets. For the blanket that I showed you, I started with a chain of 76. So my first row is going to have 75 single crochets. So after you've made your first row of single crochets, come back and I will show you how to work the stitch. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to chain 1 and turn your work. And then you're going to double crochet in the very first stitch. You can see that stitch right here. So you're going to want to double crochet into that very first stitch. And then you're going to skip the next stitch and you're going to work 2 double crochets into the stitch after that. So there's 1 and 2. Then you're going to skip the next stitch and you're going to work 2 double crochets into the stitch after that. And you're going to do that all across your row. You're going to skip a stitch and then work 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And you're just going to do that all the way across. So skip the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the stitch after that. And I like to just check my tension as I go, because sometimes with chenille yarn, something will get caught and you won't pull it as tightly as you intended to, or it'll get pulled too tight. So just check as you go. And then we're going to skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochets into the stitch after that. We're going to skip the next stitch and work 2 double crochets in the stitch after that. And then when you get to the end of your row, you're going to work 1 double crochet into the very last stitch. And so your first row should look something like this. All right, now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to start with a double crochet in the very first stitch. And then we are going to go over here and find those 2 double crochets that we worked. You see we have these 2 double crochets right here. We are going to work 2 double crochets right in the middle of these 2 double crochet stitches. So you see I have the post of the stitch here and the post of the next stitch here. I'm just going to work my 2 double crochets right in the middle of those. And that is going to pull the 2 double crochets kind of apart. It's going to separate them a little bit, and it's going to give me a V stitch. So typically a V stitch has a chain 1 in between the 2 double crochets, but I wanted a tighter stitch for this pattern, and so I'm eliminating that chain 1, but everything else would be the same. All right, so I've worked my 2 double crochets in between these stitches. So now I'm going to come over here and you have your next 2 double crochets. You can see them here. I have the post and I have the post, and you're just going to find the middle of those 2 stitches. You can see my finger right there. So you're just going to work 2 double crochets between those next 2 double crochets. And you can see here, I'm going to skip right over to here because I have my next 2 double crochets. And I'm going to find the middle of those double crochets, and I'm going to work 2 double crochets. So instead of inserting my hook into the top of the stitch, I'm just finding each set of double crochets, finding the middle, and working 2 double crochets right in between those pairs of stitches. So here's my next pair. You can see it between my fingers. And I'm going to find the middle of those 2 stitches, and I'm going to work 2 double crochets right into the middle. I'm going to do that all the way across my row. Here's the middle of those next 2 double crochets. And I'm going to work 2 double crochets right there. And then I'm going to end with 1 double crochet in the last stitch of the row. Oops, I accidentally just caught 1 loop instead of both loops on that double crochet. And so after my second row, you can kind of start to see the V stitches are opening up a little bit on that first row. Let's do 1 more row together. So let's chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to double crochet in the very first stitch. And then we're going to find the first pair of double crochets. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of double crochets. So I'm going to find the middle of that first pair, so right in between the 2 double crochets. And I'm going to work 2 double crochets into that spot right there between the double crochets. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find the next pair of double crochets, which is right here. I'm going to find the middle and I'm going to work 2 double crochets right into the middle of those 2 stitches. And you can see it kind of pulls them apart to create a V. Here's my next pair. I'm going to find the middle right there. And I'm going to work 2 double crochets right in between those 2 stitches. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way across my row. So here's my next pair of double crochets right here. Find the middle. Work 2 double crochets. There's 1 and 2. Find the next pair of double crochets. There's the middle. I'm going to work 1 and 2 double crochets. I have 1 more pair of double crochets right here. I'm going to find the middle and I'm going to work 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to work 1 double crochet into the last stitch of the row. And so that's what my first 3 rows look like. Now I'm going to show you how to change colors. All right, so I'm finished with this coral color, so I'm just going to snip it and I'm going to leave a nice long tail. And I'm actually going to pull out the last stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my last double crochet, but I'm not going to pull through the last 2 loops. So usually you would yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. And usually we would yarn over with this coral colored yarn and pull through those last two loops to finish off our stitch, but we're going to join our new yarn. So I'm going to take this blue yarn and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop. So you can see I have this loop here and I'm going to put that loop right over the end of my hook. And instead of pulling through those last 2 loops with my coral colored yarn, I'm just going to pull through with my blue yarn. Now, I don't always tie off when I change colors. Usually I just weave the ends. But with chenille yarn, I highly recommend just tying a knot so that color, that yarn change, that color change is secure. All right, so now I would just chain 1 and turn my work. And then I would double crochet in that first stitch. And then I would find the next pair of double crochets and I would work 2 double crochets in the middle. And I would just do that all the way across my row. So I would work 2 double crochets in between each pair of double crochets from the previous row. And you can see I'm getting that tight V stitch. So it's a V stitch, but without the chain 1 spaces in the middle. I hope this helps. I'm going to finish a few more rows, then I'll come back and show you how to work the border. All right, so I just finished 3 rows of blue, and now I'm going to show you how to work the border. So you're just going to turn your work, don't chain, And we're going to start single crocheting across the top row. So there's 1 and 2, and I always forget I don't have to count when I'm working on the border, but it's just habit. So I'm going to single crochet evenly across this top row. And then when I get to the last stitch of this row, I'm going to work 3 single crochets into that stitch, and that is going to let me go from working along this top edge to working along this side. All right, so we're just single crocheting across the top of our project. And then when we get to this last stitch, we're going to work 3 single crochets. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Now that working 3 single crochets into that last stitch lets us go from working along this edge to working along this edge. Now this is the side where people sometimes have trouble because there aren't defined stitches to work into. So they're not quite sure where to work the stitches. So on this swatch we have 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 rows. And then we have our single crochet foundation row. All right. So what we're going to do is for every other row, we're going to work 1 single crochet into this first row of V stitches. And then we're going to work 2 single crochets into this next row. We're going to work 1 single crochet into the side of this row. And then we're going to work 2 single crochets into the side of this row, 1 single crochet into the side of this row, and 2 single crochets into the side of this one. So we're alternating between 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets per row. All right, so when we have those 3 stitches, we had 3 stitches to turn the corner. Here's 1, 2, and 3. The first stitch counts as the last stitch of this row. The second stitch counts as our corner. And then this third stitch counts as the first stitch of this row. So we already have 1 stitch for our first V-stitch row. So now we're going to work 2 stitches into this row, and then 1 stitch into this row, and 2 stitches into this row, 1 stitch into this row, and we'll keep alternating until we get to the end. So we have our 1 stitch for this row. Now I'm going to work 2 into this row. So I'm going to work into the base of the stitch and then the body of the stitch. And that was 2 single crochets for that row. Now I'm on this row right here, so I just need 1. Oops, I accidentally pulled my end out. I didn't weave my ends very far since it was just a sample, which is why that happened, but I'm going to go ahead and snip that. All right. So I had 1 single crochet for the first row, 2 single crochets into the side of the second row, 1 single crochet into the third row. Now I need 2 single crochets into this next row. And it doesn't matter where you work your stitches. 1 and 2. Then I need 1 single crochet for the next row. And then 2 single crochets for the row after that. And now I'm at my corner. So I'm going to work 3 single crochets into that stitch to turn my corner. And then I'm going to single crochet evenly across the top of my project. 1 single crochet per stitch. And I'm just going to keep working around the entire project just like that. And then I'll work 3 single crochets in every corner. And then I'll meet you back at the first corner so I can show you how to finish the round. Okay, so I'm almost finished with this side, but now I need to meet back up with the first stitch that I made over here. And remember, I have to have 3 single crochets in each corner, but here I only have 1. So I'm going to go back into this first stitch and I'm going to work 2 more single crochets. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of that first stitch to join my work. And then now I have a single crochet border all the way around my entire project. Now this blanket calls for 2 rounds of single crochet. So what I would do is I would just chain 1 and then single crochet around again, working 3 single crochets into each corner. And then I'm going to do that. Then I'll show you how to add the double crochet round. Okay, so I finished my second round of single crochet and I wove those ends, and now I want to show you how to add the double crochet round. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the middle stitch of any corner, because remember we worked 3 single crochets in the corner, and you're just going to stick your hook right under that middle stitch, both loops of the middle stitch. And then you're going to make a loop with your new color, and you're going to put that over your hook and just pull it through. Now this is a corner, and so we're going to double crochet evenly around our entire project, and in each corner we're going to work a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet. Well, we just have a loop, so we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to double crochet right into that corner stitch. Now we'll have to finish this corner when we get back around here, but for now we're just going to have a chain 1 and a double crochet in that stitch. And now we're going to double crochet down the side. So just 1 double crochet in each stitch. So there we have our first one, and we'll just go all the way down that side until we get to our corner. Now, usually this would be made with white yarn, but white is very difficult to see in videos, so I went with this purple color. So I'm just double crocheting down this side. And then when I get to that corner stitch, so I have 1 more double crochet, and then I am at my corner. I'm going to work a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet. And that will let me turn my corner. So you can see I double crocheted down this side, and I worked a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet in this corner. And now I'm going to double crochet down this next side. And I'm just working 1 double crochet into each stitch until I get to the next corner. And once I get back to the next corner, I'm going to work a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet. So just keep double crocheting, 1 double crochet in each stitch. And then when you come to your corner, which is the middle stitch of the 3 single crochets you made in the corner last time, you'll work a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet. All right, so you can see here are my 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3 in that corner. So I'm going to double crochet in the first one. And then in the second one, I'm going to work my double crochet, my chain 2, and then my double crochet all into that corner stitch. And now I'll start double crocheting down this side. And when I get to this corner, I'll work a double crochet, a chain 2, and a double crochet, and then I'll double crochet along this side, and then meet me back here and I'll show you how to finish up. Okay, so I'm almost finished with this last round, this last side of the double crochets. And so I'm going to work 1 more double crochet into that first corner, and then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet to join. And so now I have a nice, neat double crochet round on my project. All right, so now I'm going to insert my hook into any corner, and I'm going to loop the color that I'm using for my final single crochet round, this peach color, over my hook, and I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to bring my tail down and chain 1 with my working yarn, and I'm going to single crochet into this corner. I need to pull it tighter. So I'm going to single crochet into this corner, and then I'm just going to single crochet down the side. So here's 1. I'm just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch. And then I'm going to do that until I get to the corner. I'm gonna work 3 single crochets into the chain 2 space. So I'm just gonna keep single crocheting across. And then when I get to that first chain 2 space, I'm going to work 3 single crochets. So I'm almost there. Okay, so I worked the last single crochet into my double crochet right there, and now I'm at my corner. So I'm just going to work 3 single crochets into this corner. And now I'm ready to start single crocheting along this next side. And I'll crochet evenly around my entire project, working 3 single crochets in each corner. And then I'll meet you back at our first corner to show you how to finish up. All right, so I'm almost done working my single crochet round. I have 1 more double crochet to work into, and then I'm back at my chain 2 space from the first corner. So I worked 1 single crochet to start the round, and now I'm going to work 2 more to finish up that corner. And now I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet to join, and that finishes the last row of our border. All right, so just remember, this video is not a standalone video. It's intended to go along with the written pattern that you can find on my website or in my Etsy shop. So all the stripe information, how many rows per stripe, all the yardages and yarn weights, and all those things are all available in the written pattern. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, have a great day and happy crocheting.